a fortified Ukrainian defensive position on the Eastern Front. 23:40 hours on a recent moonless winter night. Absolute darkness, no ambient light, conditions that Russian planners assessed as optimal for surprise night assault. A Russian assault brigade, 3,600 combat soldiers, supported by 81 armored vehicles, prepared to attack Ukrainian positions under cover of darkness. Russian doctrine emphasized night operations to offset Ukrainian technological advantages observed during daylight combat. The plan called for rapid infiltration and overwhelming assault before defenders could coordinate response. 5 hours later, the brigade would be destroyed. 3,089 soldiers killed or wounded. 73 vehicles destroyed. The moonless night that was supposed to conceal Russian forces instead became killing darkness, where Ukrainian defenders with night vision equipment systematically slaughtered attackers who couldn't see. This happened days ago. The battlefield is still being cleared. The technological disparity that created the massacre continues driving tactical adaptations on both sides. This is what occurred during those 5 hours. Night combat operations require specific equipment and training. Soldiers must navigate in darkness, identify targets, coordinate movements, and maintain unit cohesion without visible light that would compromise stealth. Success depends on night vision capability, technology that amplifies available light or detects thermal signatures to create visible images in darkness. Russian forces possessed limited night vision equipment. Approximately 10% of soldiers had individual night vision devices. Officers, designated marksmen, and some vehicle crews had thermal or image intensification optics. The majority of soldiers lacked any night vision capability and would be operating in complete darkness, using only ambient light and illumination from fires or flares. Ukrainian forces, equipped extensively with NATO-supplied night vision equipment, possessed fundamentally different capability. Every squad had multiple soldiers with night vision goggles. Every crew-served weapon had night vision or thermal optics. Defensive positions were equipped with thermal surveillance systems. Ukrainian defenders could see clearly in conditions that blinded Russian attackers. This capability disparity would prove decisive. Russian assault commenced at 23:40, with first-wave infantry advancing toward Ukrainian positions. 800 soldiers in extended line formation moving through darkness across approximately 2 kilometers of open ground. The soldiers were instructed to maintain noise discipline, advance steadily, and assault defensive positions rapidly upon contact. Ukrainian thermal surveillance systems detected the assault immediately. Operators watching thermal displays observed 800 heat signatures advancing across open ground in organized formation. Every Russian soldier was visible as a bright thermal image against cold background. Defenders could see the entire assault wave while remaining completely invisible to attackers. Ukrainian forces held fire, allowing Russians to close range. The decision was calculated: engage at close range where small arms would be most effective and where Russian forces would have minimal time to react or take cover. At 23:57, when the lead Russian elements reached 400 meters from Ukrainian positions, defensive fires commenced. Machine gun positions equipped with thermal optics opened sustained fire. Every Ukrainian gunner could see targets clearly through thermal sights. Every Russian soldier was visible and vulnerable. The effect was catastrophic. Russian soldiers in the first wave heard gunfire and saw muzzle flashes but couldn't identify firing positions in the darkness. They couldn't see Ukrainian soldiers, couldn't determine distance to enemy positions, couldn't locate specific threats to engage. They were being killed by enemies they couldn't see. Russian soldiers attempted to return fire toward muzzle flashes. Most rounds impacted empty ground. Ukrainian defensive positions were hardened with overhead cover and firing ports that concealed muzzle signatures. Russian fire was ineffective. Within 4 minutes, the first wave had suffered approximately 200 casualties. Soldiers were falling to machine gun fire they couldn't see or avoid. The assault momentum stalled as soldiers sought cover in shallow terrain features, attempting to understand where enemy fires originated. Russian officers attempted to coordinate response. Radio transmissions captured by Ukrainian intelligence revealed confusion and panic. "We cannot see them. Where are they shooting from? Request illumination." Higher command approved use of illumination rounds. At 0008, Russian artillery fired illumination rounds over Ukrainian positions. The slow-falling flares bathed the battlefield in bright light, revealing Ukrainian defensive positions. For approximately 45 seconds, Russian soldiers could see their objective. Ukrainian defenders, wearing night vision goggles, were temporarily blinded by sudden bright light. They removed goggles and engaged with standard optics during illumination. When flares burned out and darkness returned, they replaced goggles and resumed operations with full night vision capability. Russian soldiers, briefly able to see during illumination, were plunged back into total darkness when flares expired. Their eyes, adapted to bright light, required several minutes to readjust to darkness. During this transition period, they were effectively blind while Ukrainian forces maintained full visual capability through night vision equipment. The illumination benefited Ukrainian defenders more than Russian attackers. It revealed Russian positions to Ukrainian observation while only temporarily allowing Russians to see Ukrainian positions they couldn't effectively engage. Russian second wave attacked at 0020. 1,000 soldiers with armored vehicle support advanced to reinforce the stalled first wave. Tank and infantry fighting vehicle commanders used thermal optics to navigate and identify targets. Vehicle-mounted weapons engaged Ukrainian positions with some effectiveness. Ukrainian anti-tank teams responded. Soldiers with thermal-sighted anti-tank missiles engaged Russian armor. A T-72B3 tank, advancing at 0023, was struck by a Javelin missile. The gunner tracking the target through thermal optics maintained clear sight picture throughout the engagement. The tank exploded, illuminating surrounding area briefly. Russian infantry following the destroyed tank were momentarily visible in the explosion's light. Ukrainian machine gunners engaged, killing dozens of soldiers clustered behind what they believed was protective cover. Throughout the early morning hours, this pattern repeated. Russian forces attempted to advance, coordinate, or consolidate. Ukrainian defenders with night vision engaged visible targets. Russian soldiers, operating blind, died without seeing their killers. Some Russian soldiers activated flashlights or weapon lights, desperate to see threats. These soldiers were killed within seconds. The lights made them perfect targets for Ukrainian marksmen with night vision optics. At 0130, a Russian infantry company, approximately 120 soldiers, became disoriented in darkness and marched directly into barbed wire obstacles in front of Ukrainian positions. Soldiers became entangled in the wire, creating noise and struggling to free themselves. Ukrainian defenders watched through night vision as Russian soldiers fought barbed wire and each other in darkness 20 meters from defensive positions. Machine gun fire killed 83 soldiers tangled in wire. The survivors fled into darkness, leaving bodies hanging on obstacles. Ukrainian defenders didn't pursue. They maintained positions and continued engaging targets visible through night vision. Russian command committed reserves at 0200. Fresh units were ordered to reinforce the assault. These soldiers, having not yet experienced the night combat environment, advanced with similar confidence as initial assault waves. They met similar fate. A mechanized battalion, approximately 600 soldiers in infantry fighting vehicles, advanced at 0215. Vehicle commanders used thermal optics to navigate. Infantry inside vehicles were blind, trusting commanders to deliver them to assault positions. Ukrainian anti-tank teams tracked the vehicles through thermal optics. As vehicles approached Ukrainian positions, anti-tank missiles engaged. Vehicle after vehicle was struck and destroyed. Infantry attempting to dismount from burning vehicles were engaged by machine gun fire. Thermal optics allowed Ukrainian defenders to track individual soldiers running through darkness. By 0300, Russian assault forces had suffered approximately 1,500 casualties. Morale was collapsing. Soldiers were refusing orders to advance into darkness where invisible enemies killed without warning. Officers threatened disciplinary action but couldn't compel terrified soldiers to advance toward certain death. Radio intercepts revealed the psychological state. "We cannot see anything. They kill us from darkness. This is suicide. We must withdraw." Requests for withdrawal were initially denied. Command ordered continued assault. At 0345, a Russian battalion commander disobeyed orders and authorized his unit to withdraw without permission from higher command. The battalion retreated in disorder, pursued by Ukrainian fires. Similar unauthorized withdrawals occurred across the assault front as unit commanders prioritized soldier survival over mission achievement. Higher command finally authorized general withdrawal at 0415. All units were to break contact and return to start lines. The assault had failed completely. The withdrawal was nearly as costly as the assault. Russian forces retreating through darkness encountered the same navigation and visibility challenges that plagued their advance. Some units became lost during withdrawal, wandering in darkness unable to determine direction. Others were engaged by Ukrainian pursuit forces. Many abandoned wounded soldiers in darkness, unable to locate or evacuate casualties without light that would draw fire. Dawn at 0500 revealed the battlefield. Russian bodies littered approaches to Ukrainian positions. Destroyed vehicles burned. Blood trails indicated wounded dragged away during withdrawal. The magnitude of Russian losses became apparent in daylight. Ukrainian reconnaissance pushed forward cautiously, securing the battlefield and collecting intelligence. Russian wounded were treated and evacuated. Bodies were counted and documented. Equipment was assessed. The casualty count was staggering. 3,089 Russian soldiers killed or wounded from the brigade's 3,600 original strength. 847 confirmed dead on the battlefield. 2,242 wounded, many abandoned during withdrawal and subsequently collected by Ukrainian forces. 73 vehicles destroyed or abandoned. 34 tanks, 39 infantry fighting vehicles. Supporting vehicles added to losses. Equipment value exceeded $648 million. Ukrainian casualties were minimal. 93 soldiers wounded, 4 killed. Fighting from prepared positions with overwhelming technological advantage produced casualty exchange ratios exceeding 30-1. The tactical lessons were absolute. Night combat between forces with asymmetric night vision capabilities is one-sided slaughter. Soldiers without night vision operating in darkness are blind, helpless, and vulnerable. Attackers lacking night vision cannot locate targets, coordinate movements, or defend themselves effectively. Defenders with night vision can see everything and engage at will. Russian doctrine requiring revision was evident. Night operations don't offset technological disadvantages when enemies possess superior night vision equipment. Darkness that blinds both sides equally provides no advantage. Darkness where one side can see and the other cannot is death trap for the blind force. The equipment disparity reflected broader technological gap. NATO-supplied night vision equipment to Ukrainian forces created capability Russian forces couldn't match. Western night vision technology, developed over decades and refined through multiple conflicts, provided clear advantages in night combat situations. Russian military analysts acknowledged the problem publicly. One prominent channel wrote, "We attacked in darkness believing it would help us, but they had night vision on every weapon while we had almost none. We were blind. They saw everything. Our soldiers died fighting invisible enemies. This is technological inferiority manifesting as tactical massacre." The psychological impact on Russian survivors was profound. Soldiers reported feelings of helplessness against enemies they never saw. Many described the experience as fighting ghosts or demons. Combat stress casualties from the engagement exceeded physical wound casualties. Families of killed soldiers demanded explanation. Why were troops sent into night assault without adequate night vision equipment? Why was the attack continued despite obvious failure? Why were wounded abandoned in darkness during withdrawal? Russian procurement priorities were questioned. Night vision equipment exists and is available for purchase. Russian forces possess some night vision capability, but equipment distribution is inadequate. Most soldiers lack individual night vision devices. This creates vulnerability in night combat against well-equipped enemies. The strategic implications extended beyond this single engagement. Russian forces now understood night operations against Ukrainian forces were suicidal without night vision parity. This constrained Russian tactical options and forced operations into daylight hours where other Ukrainian advantages applied. Ukrainian forces validated NATO equipment and training. The investment in night vision technology and night combat training created decisive advantages. The engagement demonstrated that equipment quality matters as much as soldier courage or tactical skill. The battlefield days later still showed evidence of the massacre. Impact craters, destroyed vehicles, bloodstains. The site served as a reminder of what happens when technologically inferior forces attempt operations requiring capabilities they lack. The numbers define the disaster: 86% casualties, 847 dead, 2,242 wounded, 73 vehicles destroyed, $648 million in losses, 5 hours from assault commencement to withdrawal authorization. This is night combat warfare, where technology determines outcome, where night vision creates one-sided slaughter, where darkness that should conceal becomes killing ground for the blind. The night is past. The dawn revealed carnage. Bodies lie where soldiers died fighting enemies they never saw. And Russian forces learn that night operations require night vision equipment, that darkness without sight is death, that 5 hours of blind combat destroys brigades. Welcome to warfare, where night vision is survival, where darkness without technology is massacre, where 5 hours fighting blind transforms brigade into casualty list.